Hold on tight for the next hour. You're entering into a place, a zone called the alternative to the alternative media. It's a place, a special place where even truth seekers fear to tread.
All right, people, let's move like we've got a purpose.
Affirmative.
Okay, glad you're back on the Investigative Journal on this October 17, 2017 day on our calendar. Greg Anthony here, reporting in as usual on this October 17 day to give you things here that you don't get anywhere else. We're called the alternative to the alternative media. Given that name a long time ago, you can go get shows I've done for over 12 years, maybe even longer. I've lost track. And we talk about the Vatican-led New World Order. We get down to the nitty-gritty of things. And so many shows, so many different topics. All roads lead to Rome. Their tentacles spread wide and deep. But they meet very close to the White House. And there's a little tunnel there between Georgetown and the White House. Georgetown being the first Jesuit university set up here by the Carroll family. A very influential Catholic family. They should be part of the founding fathers. And did you ever wonder why they named them fathers? Well, because most of them really are unknown. Jesuit priests who were instrumental in fomenting the American Revolution, getting this country on its way to eventual fascism is what their goal is. And their real goal was to get Catholicism in here when they could not get in the beginning, because Protestants were very weary and wary of the Jesuits and the Vatican for what they did in Europe. And so they wanted a whole new country without them, but have they succeeded? No. Tyranny reigns. In Washington, Jesuit control, and as we speak, you know there's a number of Jesuits down in that tunnel talking to the leaders of our country and instructing them on everything from how to orchestrate wars. They have classes every night from 7 to 10, and they're required to go. That's the high leaders of our country. They're given good refreshments and food, and they attend classes on how to orchestrate wars. They also attend classes on how to create false flag opportunities, like the one in Las Vegas. And they have so many different other classes, occult classes and pedophilia, how to do all those crazy little things. And you would not believe the curriculum. It's an amazing curriculum. And these leaders have to pass or they are killed. If they don't follow the program, it's a very, very deadly game. And you know that some of the top senators, presidents who didn't want to play ball with the Vatican and the Jesuits found their demise. So, why do we do it? Somebody has to do it. I mean, I'm so tired of listening to the mainstream news, a bunch of lies, and then tired of listening to the puppets controlled by the Jesuits and the Vatican who control all the countries of the world. I'm glad I only speak a couple languages, because if I was a linguist, I would have gone crazy a long time ago, listening to Chinese guys lie, listening to Korean guys lie, and you name the language, and the Jesuits got it made. They got it made in the shade, folks, as they say. And remember what I said about if you don't play the game, if you don't go to your classes, and the Jesuit in that little room down there between Georgetown and the White House to learn how to do all these deceitful things, your demise will be not too far away. Well, there's a woman, and there's a number of... I said a long time ago, the safest place to be is at one of these false flag events, because nobody gets killed. The most dangerous place to be is witnessing it and then coming out and telling people that it's a false flag and it's not as the government said. That's the dangerous part. If you're one of those who actually are there and see that it didn't happen the way the government tells you, and then you try and go out and tell people, you may end up like Kimberly Suchamel, Suchomel, 28. She was found dead October 9th after Facebook posts disputing official Las Vegas shooting story. FBI declines to interview any witnesses of multiple shooters. Obviously, democracy and the free press, folks, have been subverted and replaced by veiled Masonic and Jesuit and Vatican tyranny. Now, this was sent to me, an article, and I'll read it to you. A key witness in the Las Vegas shooting attack, who identified multiple shooters, has been found dead at her home. 28-year-old Kimberly Suchomel, I don't want to destroy her name, managed to escape the massacre at Route 91 Harvest Festival in Las Vegas. Uninjured, but made a public statement describing the attacks and how they were carried out by multiple gunmen that were firing weapons into the crowd. Her post on Facebook quickly went viral as it confirmed what many already suspected. The mainstream media official narrative that Stephen Paddock was a lone wolf gunman was false. Kimberly gave a detailed account of her horrific experience a few days after the event. As she said, she had struggled to think of words to describe the nightmare she had been through. She said multiple gunmen were not only firing weapons into the crowd, but chasing people and gunning them down. Well, you know something, I wonder about this because I don't know if anybody died there. But you know what? Maybe they even fake who they kill. I don't know. And then put the story out. She described how she was chased by one of the shooters. We were rounding some sort of corner maybe. What did they have, blanks in there? And I looked to the right and I saw this large cowboy sitting down with his legs spread holding a blood-soaked woman. I thought to myself, we need to hide. But as I looked quickly for somewhere to go, the gunfire once again got closer and closer. I kept looking back, expecting to see the gunman and say, "Men, please," because there was more than one person. Okay, so she's seen multiple gunmen, and she's supposedly seen people bloodied up. Okay, how true is that? I don't know. Rocky Palermo was shot by a gunman in the crowd during Sunday night's mass shooting and says he has evidence to prove it. He says there were between 3 and 5 active shooters firing weapons. Okay, so these guys are saying this really happened, but there were 5 shooters. How about the people that say it was faked? You never know anymore. See, that's the point of these stories. What happens is it gets so confusing that you just throw up your hands and say, who cares? You know? But I will lay the dollars to donuts that nobody was killed there. And I believe that they fake these things and they can shoot blanks in there and then they know how to orchestrate a good Hollywood movie. Now, are these people COINTEL? Yeah, maybe. You don't know. Look, I worked with them when I first started in the alternative media, and I was a pretty savvy journalist coming from Rome. International correspondent. Top name, right? No, not really. Stories I wrote. Some of the best stories I wrote that only got published were these flaky stories, like anything that had to do with, that didn't really get into anything. They loved that. But when you get really down to the nitty gritty, none of them would publish it. So I guess I should have been more steadfast, as they say. But looking back at life, what are you into this for? Look, are you into it to save the world? No. Everybody wants to save the world when they're 18 or 19 or 20 or 21 or 22 or 23. But as you get older, you realize, I can't save the world. And who wants to save it anyway? Once you learn what the world's about, you say, hey, let it go to hell in a handbasket. Who cares? Let God worry about it. He created the darn thing. Let him be the final decider on it, right? That's what I say about everything. Whether you believe in a Buddhist or you believe in a Hindu, atheist or not, I say let God be the final decider. We're not here as spiritual judges, are we? Kind of like, have we set up our spiritual court where we judge everybody, by our own values and beliefs? Maybe if you really believe, and I say this wholeheartedly, if you really believe in a cause, go for it. But you're dealing with somebody's spiritual body, which is spiritual soul, which is different than the body and the mind. Look, there are 100 different ways to create good abs, right? And then you read about good nutrition. There's a lot of different things. Then there's a lot of ways to increase your ability to think, to increase your ability to reason, to increase your ability to basically remember things, to study. I say if you don't use the mind, you lose the mind. And it's the same thing with the body. If you don't use the body, you lose the body. But what about the soul and the spirit? If you don't use the spirit and the soul, do you lose it? And what if you're going off on the wrong track? Well, who knows what the right track is? Now, I know when we get in the spiritual area, it gets a little bit more personal in a sense that there are people out there who strongly believe in certain different faiths. Some people, like the Mormons, they go around with their shirts and ties and run up to you on the street and they're saying, read the Book of Mormon. You're not going to get to paradise with the angels or whatever they do unless you do this. And they're firmly believing this is what's going to happen in the afterlife, right? Then you got others. You got the Buddhist principles, the Hindu principles. I mean, you go back into all these, then you go to the Native American thinkings. And then you go to Christianity, atheism, all of this. Now, there's Christians out there who want to go evangelize because they believe they want to help people get to see God, Be faithful, strong, read the Bible. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're totally into that, that's fine. However, what about the people that don't want to be evangelized? What about them? What about, what if you go into a Hopi, the Indian Hopi population, and you try to evangelize them to Christianity, and they say, well, listen, we go back a long, long way. What if they evangelized you? Maybe that, it's kind of a crazy thought, but sometimes the tables can be turned, and you turn out to be a Hopi elder instead of a Christian. Well, I'm sure it's happened. But what I'm getting at is that when you're dealing with the spiritual thing, it's a very touchy subject. And some people have the knack to understand things. Some people know more about the Bible than others. And I think everyone should learn from everybody. But as far as judging, I think that's up to God, our Creator, to do that. So I don't sit here as a spiritual judge of anybody. And I actually don't even lean one way or other personally towards convincing somebody to go one way or the other. I really don't. I've taken all the principles of all the different faiths that I've looked into, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, and I've looked at the people that practice. And man, there's some great people in all of those, even Catholics. I know the Catholic religion inside and out. I wanted to be a priest at one time. So guess what? Now I sit here trying to decipher why people argue so much in their own faiths. You know how many people argue over the Quran? I mean, these people who really believe in the Quran, one thing, other thing. Then how many people argue over these Bible verses? I mean, come on. Why argue about it? There could be interpretations that are different. For example, I've read the Bible verses regarding whether God tells us the earth is round or it is flat. And I believe that the words tell us it is flat. Okay? Now others will tell me, and some will really make a point of saying, well, I know more about the Bible than you, and I interpret it as round. Okay, big deal. I guess when we die, we'll find out, right? And God will be the judge of that. He was the judge of how He created in the beginning, maybe. Now, if somebody else is going to tell me in another faith, it couldn't have happened that way. God isn't what you think it is. This world is so many millions of years old, and it's different, What am I to do? How am I going to convince that person? Why would I want to convince that person? Wouldn't it be nice if we just listened to everybody? Hell, I even listen to the occult. Not wanting to be in a cult, or I'm not looking to join any club. In fact, I've never been involved in any kind of organized... Well, I played organized sports, I'll be honest with you. I was on a team. I was on that, but I don't get involved in like Rotary clubs or go to meetings, or I never even voted. And I explained that story a long time ago. I mean, people think, well, you're really smart. You never voted. Well, half the time I was stupid. And then it just worked out in my life where at every point, whether it was stupidity I didn't vote or whether it's because I realized that your vote doesn't count, I never did vote. So I guess I'm not going to take credit for realizing that at a young age, that your vote didn't count. But all I'm trying to get at is, wouldn't it be nice if everybody sat there and listened and put everything together without trying to say, hey, mine's better than yours. My spirit's better than your spirit. How can that be? I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm, the greatest mediator, the greatest, I know how to bring people together. I don't know how to bring anybody together. In fact, I don't even want to. I think it's better people separate. I mean, didn't God do that with the languages and stuff? Keep us separated so we don't kill each other? Isn't that basically the point? And so, I guess we're going to have to find out the hard way. And the hard way sometimes is just, and some people say, well, Greg, why would you say death is hard? I look forward to dying because I'm going to see God. I don't look forward to dying, and I think if you look deep down in your soul, you don't either. No one does. I mean, to be honest with you, some people prepare better for death. Some people have a different tendency to, or it depends on the time in your life, For example, me, I always worry if something really good's going to happen to me. Oh boy, the next thing I know, I'm going to come down with cancer and it's going to end it all. Just when things were going good. Then others, kind of put themselves in a depression so that death is going to come, you're going to bring it upon yourself. I always say is that one way or other, we all have that in common. We're not going to be here forever, and we're all going to die. It's how, when, and why is that's important. And, what you do before. Boy, I tell you, that's a good question, isn't it? I mean, every one of us could look back and say, man, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Why didn't I do this? I mean, we can do that. And I think everybody has done it. And then you forget about it. But isn't life interesting when you think about your life? How much can you really remember? I mean, the older you get, the more you forget. And then there's things that pop out in your mind that you just can't believe you remembered. Then there's things you want to forget. You don't even want to remember you did it. We've all had those things, right? But when we start wandering like this, where was I? I was talking about somebody, the safest place to be is at a false flag shooting, and the most dangerous place to be is at, witnessing how they really got, faked Sandy Hook or changed the narrative in 9/11, changed the narrative in Las Vegas. And the whole thing boils down to confusion. Then I said, well, I'm used to this. When I first started, even in the alternative media, I didn't know who was who. I didn't know that Alex Jones and a lot of these people were actually working for the Vatican and the Jesuits and the New World Order, whatever you want to call it. Jeff Rentz, all these guys, until I actually worked with them. Now, Rentz, he's a different character. And maybe I shouldn't even put him in that category. I would have no idea. He's smooth talking. Got to admit, listen to his radio show. Great. I used to be on it all the time as a guest. And had my program on Genesis as well. And Jeff had a nice, smooth voice. And still is on the air doing something. Yeah, he's got his own program now, his own station or something. But anyway, I'll leave Jeff up to you. I really, I like him because he used to run a parrot shop or a bird store. At the time I had a couple parrots and we used to talk about it a lot. But you never know about these guys is what I'm saying. I do know about a few of them, like I just mentioned, Jones, and a number of others that I don't want to spend the whole show talking about it. You can go back and check out some of my shows when I gave some evidence showing that. And then there's going to be the people that say, well, how do we trust Greg? I stopped a long time ago with trying to defend. You always defend yourself with the truth. But a person's going to believe what he wants to believe. And there used to be a lot of marginalizing of what I did. They don't bother with me anymore. I think they think I'm an old fogey. Forget it, leave it. He doesn't have that big of an audience. Who cares about him? There's other bigger fish to fry. We got bigger fish to fry than him. But anyway, during that period of time when they considered me a little bit of a threat, boy, they would try to marginalize, lie, do everything possible. I couldn't believe they told me my background. You know, and I just looked at it and said, wow, that's really me? Is it really? Maybe I forgot about it. Do I really know who I am? Because it didn't sound like my background, you know. And then again, I would say if anybody was really interested, I could prove most everything that I did that I can remember. Got to remember that. But what I'm getting at is I could, at least tell you where I went to high school. Alex Jones can't do that. But anyway, so here we are on a Tuesday, rambling on about all these things, and looking out my window, and I live in a little mountainous area, and there's a big fire, but it's not going to affect me or the house, but there was a fire burning. And it made me think about those people in California. I mean, ridiculous geoengineering of these fires. Did you hear my show yesterday when I brought out that technical article I found about some of the things people saw there? Didn't seem like a natural fire. Trees burning from the inside out. And they'd see little spark. I mean, it was incredible. They were totally energized. I mean, their power was going out, not from fire burning the power lines, from electrical charged, geoengineered weaponry that they've now created. Who knows what they created? But that's the world we live in. And then you got to turn on politics. I mean, I really don't know how people stomach it anymore. When you listen to what they're doing, these people in Washington, what they're really trying to do is take America down, and they're showing that the government. See, one of the keys is what they did just yesterday. Trump said, I'm getting rid of the Iran nuclear deal. Well, it was a terrible deal to begin with. Shouldn't have even been there. But now he's getting rid of it. But then they say, around the world, America will never be respected again. And that's really what they want. Because they flip-flop. One day they get into a deal, next day they get out of it. And, who said you can't do that? And really, when all it is a kind of a PR campaign. And then behind that PR campaign is going to be total destruction, in a sense where if you could come back 100 years from now, what do you think everything would look like? If there would be anything. Oh, I think there will. Well, what would be the size, shape, and form of North America? Who would be in control? What would would anybody be talking about the flat earth anymore? Would NASA still be around propagating all these lies? Doing their computer imagery? Where the heck is it going to be? Is it going to be the one world government can you just close your eyes and picture what it would be? Is there going to be a United States? Is there going to be Canada? Is there going to be Mexico? Or is it all going to be one conglomerate? Is there going to be just one currency? Is there going to be just one religion? Or pockets of people getting killed if they don't follow this, follow that? Where will all the Bibles go? Are there going to be any Bibles? Will there be any books? They'll all be digitally online. Maybe if you have a book, they're going to put you in jail. Maybe if you breathe the air without, them telling you how much you can breathe that day, you're going to go to jail. Maybe they're going to tell you how much water you can drink every day. Maybe they're going to tell you what kind of food you're going to eat, how much land you can own, how big your house can be. You're going to live in a little capsule. You don't even have to move. You can have your kitchen on your right hand and your bathroom on your left hand. Take one step forward is the living room, one step back is your dining room, and there you go. 100 years from now. Just like I pictured it in my dreams, right? All right, we're going to take a break. Be back, second half hour of the Investigative Journal. Come back. Don't miss it.
The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The following program is labeled dangerous and off limits by the supreme Jesuit command. But stand tall, people. Listen up, and you may just learn something.
Oh, dear Lord Jesus, this ain't happening, man. This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening.
Okay, I had a good time at the break. I was looking at an article. The title was Russia Issues Dreaded Secret Order as Syrian Endgame Nears. So then I scrolled down, looking at a few crazy ads they now put on everything on the internet. Pretty soon it's going to be a paid place anyway, and they're going to cut off most people. And it says Russia issues feared Firebird Grey Wolf order against U.S. as Syrian war games near. Now, I'm not even going to read the article. Now, what I'm going to tell you is about the person who wrote it. It's Sorcia Faal, F-A-A-L, as reported to her Western subscribers. If you subscribe to her, you're stupider than I think you are. Years ago, I can remember this as vividly as I woke up this morning and had my coffee. It was a story about some kind of shooting in some kind of hunting lodge up in Montana or somewhere up there. Sorchefal was the writer, and it was a crazy story about all these people shooting and killing, and it was, So, as the journalist I used to be, I actually did check it out and talk to somebody. And I contacted Sorchefal's office. Okay, even back, this was 10 years ago. And somebody answered, and she's supposedly some Russian connection, giving us the Russian truth or whatever, which is a bunch of malarkey. She makes it up. At least that's what she did on the story I found. Because I wanted to check it out, so I went to the source. And her associate said, and I started asking tough questions. Well, who is this guy? What happened? Where? And he says, don't you know what we do? And I said, what? He said, well, we kind of make things up. I go, what are you talking about? Yeah, it really didn't happen, but it was kind of like it did happen. I'm sitting there going, what are you talking about? Yeah, that's what we do. We kind of embellish. So if you want to read Sorchefal, go right ahead. But that's what you're up against when you read this, on the internet. And the reason they do it is that it discredits anybody that really wants to do something good or really tell the truth. And there's a hell of a lot of people out there that do. But they've got it so scattered. What they're attempting to do, for example, create 1 million blogs with 10 people listening to each blog, and you got no cohesion whatsoever on the truth, with the truth. But keep the mass media and the controlled alternative media in the pocket of the, Vatican-led New World Order. And what they can do is use their money and power, even on the internet, to create a whole bunch of listeners. So what that means is they can control the mainstream. That's all they care about. They don't care about you, you Mr. Truth Seeker, you and your 10 little followers can march right down to the grocery store and eat some of our poisonous food, and you'll be gone in no time. So they've what the internet has become is this kind of, it's not really good for journalists, to be honest with you, like me, because everybody's a journalist now. So hell, why did I even go to journalism school or write for a newspaper? Everybody does it now. It's kind of a profession that I don't know what it is now. I know there's a lot of people on the internet can't write very well, but that doesn't matter anymore. People don't want to communicate that way. Very seldom do people want to. YouTube is like you got to have pictures now with the words so people can understand it. In the old days, the words are supposed to bring out the pictures in your mind. That's what writing is all about. But, now, what's writing about? It's an archaic form of communication. And the only times that books get sold now are these Washington elites write these books for millions of dollars and then pretend like millions of people read them and they get a lot of money. It's a little publisher's game. When writing becomes important again will be when the internet and technology is gone. Yeah. Writing will be important when there's no TV, when there's no, okay, I'll give radio a shot. There's nothing bad with listening. I really mean that. Writing will become important when there's no longer any technology like, oh, see it, and that's it. That's the truth. Just look at the tube. The pictures tell 1,000, and I love that. A picture can tell 1,000 words. Well, I don't buy it. What are you talking about, 1,000 words? I don't even think people know us nowadays. I don't even think they can spell 1,000 words outside of the one-syllable words they use in between the verbs and the nouns and all of the other stuff. So a picture is basically this, I don't know about you, but I used to have friends who would try to drag me to an art museum. Oh, let's spend the day. I remember when I was in Rome. It happened more then. I still get it every now and then. Let's go to an art museum and it'll be such an enjoyable day. I'm going, let's go watch paint dry. That'll be fun too. Why don't we just go down and go down to the barrio and, look at all the graffiti? That would be more fun. But do you ever walk into one of those stuffy art museums? Everybody's acting like so intelligent. Oh, you get up in front of a picture and you look at it and you're supposed to say something intelligent like, this pastel really did you see this and that? I went to a couple art museums and I sat there bored out of my mind. I mean, really. I looked at the picture and said, hey, yeah, I like it. It's a nice picture. Well, you're supposed to look at the deep meaning of the picture. Well, what is the deep meaning? I mean, what is in one picture? Now, people are going to say, Greg, you're so far off base. No, I don't know if I am. For me, I am, because maybe I don't communicate through pictures. I can't draw a house. But I can write a few words. Now, shouldn't a writer, why don't I have a writing museum? Let's go in and put books up on a picture, and then you just flip through, just look at the book and go, wow, that's deep. And then we go over to Ernest Hemingway, and there's his book, A Day at the Writer's Museum. Now that would be just as boring. And what I'm getting at is I don't like going to art museums. That simple. And I remember a couple times in my life I'd pretend I was really educated, and sophisticated. Oh yes, I think I'd love to go to the art museum and then we'll talk all these avant-garde things. I don't know the difference between avant-garde art or whatever the hell. I was watching a show about Jim Carrey the other day, the guy who made The Truman Show. And he's into art now. He spends his whole life. He's in this room, he's got millions of dollars, and all he does is doing all this stuff, and I'm finding myself through my art. Well, hell, why don't you find yourself just by finding yourself? Can't you just do it do you gotta really act as if you're really artistic and intelligent above me or everybody else? Oh, I'm so great. That's really what it boils down to. It's just a bunch of bull sometimes with people. And what about these artists? Who the hell, everybody admires, who's the guy that cut off his ear? I mean, anybody that cut off his ear, I'm not going to look at any painting. Really, why should I? I mean, I'd rather look at his ear cut off. Now you're saying, Greg, you don't like artists. No, I'm not saying that. You may get a kick out of going to an art museum. I think it's boring. I'd rather, look, some people may say going to a baseball game is boring. But I'll tell you, it's 120% better than going to some art museum. Especially, they don't, you ever go into one, they got these floors, you hear everything, and everything's got high ceilings, and everything is so, just so intelligent in there. And I love these people that think they can understand the painting before you. I look sometimes at a painting, and I go, wow, that's good. I love it. And then I go on. Or, oh, I don't like it. I'm gone. I mean, that's about as far as I get. And did I get enjoyment out of that painting? Yeah. But if I sat there and scrutinized it and went crazy on it, I'd hate it. You know, it's the same when you write something. Okay, write it down. If you want others to read it, just read it. And then enjoy it or don't enjoy it. Take the fact or not the fact. But once you start scrutinizing everything, that writing will become, for example, especially with novels, I'm not talking about factual stuff that when you're writing documentaries and stuff like that, you know, then you're going to fact check for the validity of it. Was it true? Was it false? I'm talking about novels, which are similar to, you know, artwork in a sense. The more you analyze it, the more you hate it, in a sense. But did you get anything out of it when you read that page? Did you have an emotion? Did you see a picture? Did you do anything, you know? And maybe a paragraph tells 1,000 pictures instead of a picture tells 1,000 words. I really like the second one because, you know, artists always felt as if they're really better than me. You know, I used to hang around with some artists, and they always acted as if they were so above me. You know, oh, you can't see that. Why don't you like going to the art museum? I said, how did you know I didn't like? I never told you. Oh, you just looked at the picture and then you walked away and went and got a Coke. Yeah, back then I used to, like everybody, we used to drink Coca-Cola. So I guess what I'm getting at is you can do the same thing in the truth movement. Now, isn't that a great... Boy, I was looking for a way to segue into what I do, you know. And I'm going to have to fish my way out of this, but I think I can do it. But it's similar to the truth movement in a sense, because you kind of really, when you think you know the truth, you think you're better than somebody else, right? And then 2 days later, you find out that truth wasn't, then there's more to it. And then you start thinking, oh, really, I didn't know anything. So you beat yourself to death. Why did I believe that? Now, well, see, as a journalist, you learn one thing. One day, you got as much as you know this day. Then the next day, other facts are going to come forth, and then that may discount some of the facts you knew that day. And so the story builds, so you're never going to really ever have a handle on it till the very end of your story. And the very end of your story will end the day you die. And then the question becomes, when you're taking that last breath, I think my last thought's going to be, one, all right, I want a sip of good red wine, the best. In fact, I think when I really know I'm going to die, you know, when I've got some forewarning, just like the Native Americans say, it's a good day to die, you'll know, you'll understand it. I'm going to make sure that I spend whatever money I have on the best bottle of red wine I can find. Indulge myself, right? The last second on earth. And then at that moment, before the lights go out, I bet your thought is just like mine. God, I hope there's something after this. You know? Or take it a different way, but it's the same meaning. I know, Lord, here I come, I'm waiting for you, here you're waiting for me, here I am, boom, it's over. So you died with that faith that there is that afterlife you envisioned. But what I'm trying to get at is that when you're searching for the truth, it ends at a certain point, and everything that you've gotten, that whole story of your whole life, the whole story of everything you've been looking at and all the aspects, has come to an earthly end, and then that last moment, boom, you're either hoping there's something or you're saying, I know there's something. Now, what is there on the other side? That's the real question, and everybody's going to give you a different story. But the story begins there for you, and it could either be blackness, nothing, or it could be something you believed, and that's exactly what it turned out, or it could be something you never thought about. Never, ever thought about. And let me make an example. When you're studying, or when you're looking at truth and trying to discuss things, you find certain little circumstantial evidence that brings things out, and all of a sudden somebody says, hey, do you realize what you found? And you go, no. And they tell you. It's the same thing with the now let's go back to the painting. That painting there means so many different things to people, and maybe if you have a little bit more patience than me at the art museum, someone that's got a little bit of sense about them, is not too, hidey-tighty, says, did you see? That's really cool what he was trying to do. And it adds something to your life. And I go, okay, move on. It changes things. And the same thing with, a simple novel. Somebody may see something that's not there. So maybe when you leave, you'll get something that you never thought about. That's the wonder of life, isn't it? How many days have you woke up thinking, I got this whole day planned, and it turns out completely different, and you either have good thoughts or bad thoughts about it, but you go, how could that have happened? And the moral of this whole story is how to get through a second half of a show when you don't have anything planned. But I hope I said a few things that'll, rekindle a little bit of your imagination, in a sense, and rekindle a little bit about your desire to get at things. I mean, like the truth, like what we're talking about here isn't an easy road. And so you start out, some people start out like, they find one thing like 9/11, they go, wow, they lied to us about that. And then everything blossoms off that. It's the 9/11 tree of truth. Others are completely different. They start out with a general principle, and then they build on it. Others start out in the spiritual world, and then they build on that, and hopefully transform themselves into understanding the political as well. And others start in the political, hopefully transforming into the spiritual. So you never know where you start. Where does your road start? And we know where it's going to end. I mean, that's not hard. It's just a question of when, how, but we do we know why? Why? I always wondered this. Why wouldn't, if I was creating, I love doing this because people always laugh at me, but I know some people like to have fun too. I'm like a child sometimes. I treat really serious subjects like a child would treat it, and sometimes it's fun. Why would God even want to kill people? I mean, let people die. Can't you just, couldn't you figure out a better way? I love to think about that. I could think of 10 times better ways, than to really go through, In fact, the whole idea of, okay, the best years of your life when you're young, and you watch yourself deteriorate over the years, you go, oh my God, or you watch one of your relatives deteriorate, you go, oh my God, why would anybody do that? Couldn't he, if he's got this all-powering ability, why not beauty forever? Wouldn't that be great? Remember when you were a kid, you think, God, I'm never going to die. Hey, it's not a bad idea, And so somebody says, well, no, because the best is yet to come after you die. I go, why couldn't the best be right here? Once you reach 70, you go into another, you walk across a pasture, and then you're into another field. And you're still alive. You still got your body, your mind, and everything. I wonder sometimes if people ever think like me. I don't. Somebody said once, it's going to be so beautiful, you'll be floating around the universe. I go, well, one, there's no universe. Where am I going to be floating? And secondly, I kind of like my body. Well, you can't keep it. Why? Because God said so. Okay. Why did God have to say so? Because he's all-knowing and all-powerful. All right, what about him? What's his body like? Does he keep it? Huh? Answer that. Does he have a body? Did he ever have a body? Well, his son did. Yeah, look what he did to his son. Now, everybody's in the whole world's going to go, Greg, that sounds like a child talking. Well, it is. And sometimes it's good to think like that, because that's the way you thought when you were a child, right? Isn't it kind of fun? Even though we know it's childish. Oh well. Just an experiment. I realize I'm not a child, and I realize that God is all-knowing and all-powerful, and the best thing to do is to deteriorate my body, put me in a hole, and watch, and I just picture myself when I'm floating around, I'm looking at, and I guess I can see through the ground. If that's, well, at least I could see my skull, If I, turn myself into ashes, what am I going to see? One of those little ashes floating across the ocean? Now people are going, Greg, are you okay? I'm fine. I'm just fine, and just trying to get to a point. And what is that point? You never know, do you? That's why a story keeps building. That's why one day what could be you think is the truth turns out to be a lie, and then you turn out to be, well, not a lie maybe either. Could be that you add more facts that gives you a bit clearer picture of what the truth is. And so, we end this show where we started. Beginning to question everything. And I mean everything. Question who you are. Is it okay to talk like a child when you get old? Is it okay to think like you used to and then kind of laugh about it? And realize that, wow, I thought about that, but look what I've learned since. And man, it's fun kind of sometimes because it realizes you're just a human being and you're not here to judge others, are we? You can judge me today and say, boy, he's a little goofy today, isn't he? I'd say, fine. I feel like being a little goofy. I do a lot of serious shows, So occasionally, I think I do have the right to be goofy. And I think you have the right to be goofy too. Because if you're goofy enough to listen, you're just as goofy as me, right? Well, anyway, you won't catch me at an art museum. You can bet on that. But you will catch me at a baseball game someday. Because that's where it's all happening. Right there in the old ball diamond. Let me tell you, everything comes, there's a definite beginning, end, and you can see how it plays out. And there's even errors, and then the errors turn into runs, and it turns into a great game, isn't it? Anyway, we're all out of time, and you're going, thank God we're out of time. See you tomorrow on the Investigative Journal. Hope you had a good evening.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.